Okay, today we're going to talk about fighting as a southpaw and why one might choose that lead over an orthodox lead. First I have to explain what that is. A southpaw is a right foot forward stance. All right? For some people it's a choice, for some people it's just what they would naturally do, because if they're left-handed, they would tend to put the strong hand in the rear position so they'd have a stronger cross. And that's why most right-handed fighters would have their left foot forward. However, MMA, mixed martial art, sort of complicates this, because when you put your left foot forward, you're not in the ideal stance to wrestle and counter wrestle. So when you take into account, wrestling and grappling and striking, you have to rethink a few things. So when I put my right foot forward and my right hand forward, let's talk about the boxing first. What this means is, since I'm right-handed, it means my jab and my hook are going to be a bit quicker and stronger. What this does is it has sort of a psychological effect on the opponent, because when I hit hard with my jab, my cross comes through and he'll tend to respect it more. People will, either consciously or unconsciously, they will judge your power on the first punch they feel. If your jab is really hard, they really get out of the way of your cross. That's one thing to bear in mind. And again, with an authoritative hook, you can set that up in some creative ways. But when we look at now being a southpaw but facing an orthodox fighter, you look at how his left foot is forward, my right foot is forward. There's an interesting way that things line up here. He's trying to land his cross, his right hand. I'm trying to land my left. That tends to be the game that goes on when a southpaw faces an orthodox fighter. What I do, as I'm setting up my cross, I make sure I step my lead foot outside of his lead foot, which means as he throws his cross, mine goes inside and catches him on the jaw. Okay, so the way things line up, even according to footwork and where I'm placing my feet. Let's say he's coming in with his jab cross, and I step off to this line here and step toward him. Boom, I can throw my cross at the same time, and his will be on the outside of the line of my cross. It'll probably bounce off of my shoulder. So that's something also to take into account. That it really becomes a game of who can land the cross when it's about opposing leads like this. Now, you take a guy who's an orthodox fighter, he's used to things matching up this way, which means he's used to slipping my jab to the outside, all right? He's used to expecting the cross from this direction, yeah. When you turn that around, any reflexes he has trained, in some cases for years that he's trained, are turned around, and that can really throw him off. I've seen that many times where a person is just not used to seeing the cross come from this side, and they'll move into it. And the same thing for the jab. They're used to slipping the jab this way, boom, to the inside, because that's just the direction they're used to going. They're used to the jab coming from the left side, yeah. So when I throw my jab and move to the inside, his head's right there, boom, for me to hit with the cross. So if I get the initiative, which is very important with opposing leads, then I can hit him with my cross, and he's not going to know which way to move. He may know consciously, but he can't force himself to do it at that moment because his reflexes dictate otherwise. Now, there's a lot more to say about what's happening up here with the boxing, but that just sort of gives an introduction to how you would approach that. Now we have to look at what goes on down below, where we're looking at wrestling. Wrestlers stand and move with their strong side forward. That's pretty much a rule, all right? That's because your strongest underhook and whizzer are going to come off of your strong side, so you want that side out front, that arm, to protect this leg. If I'm right-handed, I put my left leg in front, it's going to be easier for him to take me down. He can snatch a single, he can get a double. Yeah, and it's harder for me with my left side to be as effective in defending against the takedown. Moreover, when I'm trying to set up the takedown from the left lead, if I want to shoot the way, that's best for me, I actually have to switch my stance to shoot, and he can see that coming. He knows I'm going to shoot when I switch my stance. I might get hit at that moment too. It's nice, in other words, to be able to shoot, sprawl, box, kick from the same stance. So that's one more reason to be a southpaw, on top of the fact that it really throws him off of his game. So when I'm here, it's nice to know that as I'm hitting him, I might at any time come under and snatch the leg, because in the case of a single, you notice he's standing with his left foot forward and my right foot forward. That foot is so close to me that it's not very hard to get under there and get to that leg. And so you also have the advantage of proximity, where the leg you want to snatch is closest to your lead leg. Okay? And again, bear in mind that when he shoots on you, you want to be able to put your strongest defense out there, and that has to do with putting the strong side forward as well. So when you think more broadly, you think about what MMA is about, you really have to look at a way that you can integrate boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc., and try to find a stance that's sort of universal to all of those.